All right, next matter is Mohammed Idris. He's here for arraignment on two matters. And he has one. They're all from the same date. They're all right, I see. So case number 3A0257205, State versus Mohammed Idris. Charges vehicle operator refused to comply with the police officer. There are two infraction charges as well. 3A0096934. It's violation of a special trip permit, and 3A0096933, failure to obey traffic control device and failure to renew his expired registration on a vehicle. Mr. Kale, any contact from Mr. Idris?
Either Mr. Idris or a representative of Mr. Idris is present on Zoom, Your Honor. And I believe he may tend to proceed pro se, or at least without the assistance of public defense. So I would ask the court to inquire with him about that.
I will. So on the screen listed as Mohammed, authorized representative for Mohammed Idris. Is that right?
First of all, I object to public defender saying that I'm pro se, which I am not. I'm the authorized representative on behalf of the estate. And I would like to request for continuance due to I made a request for discovery, and there was no email provided to me. And I was informed that only a phone number is available. And I called that phone number, and there was no answer, and I did not get any voicemail. And out of the 3 cases, I only received notice for 2. One is missing. I don't have the paperwork for that. Due for that reason, I would like to get a continuous.
All right, so let's start with this. Are you Mohammed Idris? Let's get the name straight to begin with.
That's the estate on the trust. I'm the authorized representative on behalf of the estate that the court is trying to administrate.
Well, the state's not charging the estate. The state is charging Mohammed Idris. So that's who we need to address. Is that you, is my question.
I object. If I have a question for, that's a question for the prosecutor, correct?
Well, you're here asking for a continuance because you want something else. I have to know who it is that is requesting the continuance and how you speak on behalf of Mohammed Idris.
I'm the authorized representative of the estate. Like my family name is Idris, given name Muhammad Ismail, for the estate, which is Muhammad Ismail Idris, estate on a trust.
All right, as I say, the estate is not being charged with a criminal offense. Muhammad Ismail Idris is being charged with criminal offenses. Now, you indicate that you only got 2 of the 3 notices. Which charges did you get notice of? Did you get notice for the failure to obey traffic signal?
I object to you're saying this has nothing to do with the estate. It has everything to do with the estate on the trust that's being charged.
Well, not to be argumentative, Mr. Idris, but the estate wasn't driving the vehicle. I suspect the city is, or the state will try to prove that Mohammed Idris was driving the vehicle. That's their job in this case.
I object. That's a hearsay. The court is assuming and presuming that's the case, which is not. So if you can continue with the continuous, I'll appreciate it.
Well, I'm going to ask the city, or the state rather, to establish probable cause at this time on the charge ending in, or the case number ending in 7205, which is the vehicle operator refusing to comply with the officer. You've already been sworn, Ms. Mann, so we'll go ahead.
The charge of refusal to give information on May 11th, 2023, Officer Kelsler responded to a request for assistance from Officer Turner, who had performed a traffic stop on a commercial motor vehicle that was traveling in a left lane prohibited for CMBs southbound I-5 at milepost 96. The driver was later ID'd by his DOL photo on file as Mohammed Ismail Idris, and
I object.
Both officers within the ID, despite multiple.
Mr. Idris, hold on, Ms. Mann. Mr. Idris, please, let her finish.
Okay.
Let her finish. Go ahead, Ms. Mann.
Refused to provide both officers with an ID despite multiple requests by both officers. He was cited for operating a vehicle and refusing to comply with a police officer and released.
He was also charged with the infractions at that time?
Yes, Your Honor. And I have a probable cause for the special fuel trip permits violation as well, if you'd like.
Yes, why don't you give us that too?
On May 16th, 2023, Officer Turner observed a tractor trailer traveling south on I-5 near milepost 98, speeding and traveling in a restricted left lane. The officer made contact with the driver, who refused to identify himself, but was identified through his DOL photo on file as Mohammed Ismail Idris. While looking up his inspection history, it was revealed that the registration on the power unit had expired several months earlier and was revoked by the Washington State Department of Licensing. He was cited and released.
Is it my turn to speak?
All right, Mr. Idris, it's now your turn. Go ahead.
I object. I requested for continuous, and I was not informed if it was denied or granted. And I do not consent to being for the court to move forward. If you guys decide to move forward, I prefer physically present instead of a Zoom call, if you guys decide to continue.
And what's the basis of your objection again? Why you want a continuance?
The reason I need the continuance is out of the 3 cases, the case number, I only got 2 notices, not the 3rd one. One is missing. And also I requested for discovery to the clerk of the court. And they said, I have to get hold of the prosecutor office. And I got hold of the prosecutor office. There's no email for me to request for the discovery. The only way is a phone number. When I called the phone number, nobody answered. So how can you guys continue without, I don't even have any discovery. So I don't know what's up against me. I don't have the details of the discovery.
Well, you've heard what's against you. Ms. Mann just repeated what she believes the state will be able to prove in this case.
There's not a proper notice.
Mr. Idris, hold on. It may be that the 2 infraction numbers appeared on the same document, case ending in 933 and case ending in 934, since they're both infractions. And then the second one would end in 205, which is a criminal charge. So that's a possibility. But based on your request to have this set over, we will set out the arraignment and you may appear in person. There's nothing stopping you from appearing in person.
Physically present.
Yes, in person. All right, although I believe there is probable cause been established, I'm not going to find that today to give Mr. Idris the opportunity to look at all these documents. And Ms. Mann, is there some better way for him to request the discovery in this case that he's talking about?
Not that I know of, Your Honor. I could check with my supervisor. If you...
All right, go ahead. In the meantime, while we're looking for that information, Mr. Idris, I want to confirm a mailing address for you or for your estate. Let me check for a moment.
I object. I'm not a Mr.
Pardon me?
I say I object. I want to make a correction. You called me Mr. I'm not a Mr. Mr. is a title.
Is your address still on 8th Avenue in Seattle, mailing address?
I don't have an address. I have a location, a private location I can only receive for mail-in purposes only, for notices.
Is that a P.O. box in Tukwila?
That ends with 9998.
I'm seeing a P.O. box dated 88081, Tukwila, Washington.
There's a dash at the end, 9998. There's 999 and 8. Those 4 digits is very important to put it on there.
So 88081-888-9?
No.
I messed those last 4 up. 88081 dash what? What's next?
Like I said, I don't have an address. I have a private location where I can receive for mail-in purposes only. And the only thing I will indicate is the last 4 digits after the end of the location, which ends 9998.
Is that a street address or a mailbox? Post office box?
That's my mail-in location where I can receive notices only.
We can't address notice to you at 9998. I need more than that. What happens, Mr. Idris, is if you don't respond to this, there's going to be a warrant issued for your arrest. We have to give you notice first. That's what we're trying to get established here.
I object. Notices can be sent to me through my private email as well.
Are you going to give us that private email?
The court has it on file.
Your Honor.
Candace, do we have that? Oh. Oh, here. Here.
Your Honor, good afternoon. This is DPA Tom Farrow. Before we proceed beyond this case, I'd like to address the court.
All right. I'm trying to get a mailing address here. Mr. Idris, we have 2 addresses from the Department of Licensing. One is on 8th Avenue in Seattle, and the other is a P.O. box in Tukwila. If you're not willing to provide us with your email address, we're going to just send notice to those 2 addresses.
I object. Again, I'm going to make a correction. I'm not a Mr., which is a title. If you can call me with my proper name, which is a family name and a given name, I'll appreciate that.
Yes, Mohammed Idris. We're going to send notice to those two addresses that we have.
You meant to say
unless you give us
my
something different.
family. You meant to say my family name, which is Idris.
All right, we're going to use that. That's what he sent to us, requesting information about court, correct? All right, looks like we do have an email address for you when you requested
just before we go on.
All right, Mr. Farrow, let's hear from you.
Thank you, Your Honor. I was listening on the YouTube. I wanted to address the court just to highlight the fact that Mr. Idris was given the constitutionally required notice at the scene on at least two of these cause numbers. There are citations in the record. Those were handed to him, and he was advised of the upcoming court date. That's kind of my first point. So I think if the court wants to continue, I don't know when he was first scheduled for arraignment, but it looks like this has been going on for a little bit. If the court wants to continue on those two matters, I'm happy to. I mean, it says here, it's checked the box for the ticket was served on the violator. I'm happy. I guess I could send something to one of these email addresses, but I would also urge the court to note that if you look on Jabs, we've tried sending mail to Mr. Idris. It is not, or it's been returned. Finally, Your Honor, and I'm not trying to be silly about this, but I've sort of heard these arguments before in court, and I think I know where we're going with this. The state's not satisfied legally that the defendant in this case has appeared today. I think he's claiming to be some sort of representative for some sort of estate or trust or other nonsense. But based on Mr. Idris's failure to appear today, the state would request the court to issue a warrant in the amount of $10,000. Thank you, Your Honor.
I object. Everything he said is a hearsay, assumption, presumption, and tacit agreement. It has nothing to do with the facts. He's not telling the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. And he was supposed to take a stand and write an affidavit. He's not doing any of that. He's just waiting for my silence, acquiescence. So I object to everything that he said.
All right, I understand that. Mohammed Idris, he makes a good point. If you're going to argue that you are a representative for Mr. Idris, Mr. Idris hasn't made a full appearance in court yet today, and therefore that would lead to the potential issuance of a bench warrant for your arrest for not showing up. So can we resolve that question at least, that Mohammed Idris has appeared for arraignment today?
I object. Again, it's what you're saying. Everybody in the court is saying is assumptions, presumptions, tacit agreement is a hearsay. You cannot use a hearsay or assumption and presumption in court. It's wrong information, and I object to all of that. And I am not a representative. Like I said I am authorized representative or an agent or an executor of the estate on behalf of the estate and trust.
And as I've indicated, the estate was not driving this commercial vehicle at the time these citations were issued. So I'm not going to accept that. I'm not going to carry this on further, Mr. Idris.
Do you have a power of attorney for this matter to continue?
Do I?
Your power of attorney? Or the court or yourself?
Mr. Idris, I'm going to find the following. If you'll listen, I'm sorry, Mohammed Idris, if you'll listen, here's what I'm going to do.
I object. I object.
I understand. Your objections have been noted. I'm finding probable cause today for the charges. I'm finding that Mohammed Idris did appear today, even though he argued and objected that he was appearing on behalf of an estate or a trust. I'm going to enter a plea of not guilty to these charges, and I'm going to set a pretrial hearing in this matter. Now, Mr. Idris or Mohammed Idris, sorry, you may contact the prosecutor's office by writing. You have an email address that we have for you. We're going to send notice to the 2 addresses that Department of Licensing has and the email address that you used when you contacted the court of when your next court date is going to be. Mr. Farrow and Ms. Mann, I'll ask you to look for any contact from Mohammed Idris so that the discovery that he is requesting can be provided to him for his next court date. All right. We're going to set a pretrial conference for August 23rd at 2:30. I'm sorry, at 2 o'clock in the afternoon in this courtroom.
I object. If I prefer to be there physically present.
Come to court. You can do that. You do not have to be on Zoom. People come to court and have been here in court today.
That's why I asked for continuance. Why are you refusing my continuance? There is no proper notices. It's all based upon assumption and presumption in a hearsay.
You were given notice at the scene, as Mr. Farrow talked about on the infractions, and you were mailed notice.
That was not correct. Was he there? I was not given at the scene. He was not there. How can you accept his testimony? That's not, there's no affidavit, there's no witnesses.
Okay. Mohammed Idris, I'm not going to argue with you. I'm not going to argue with you about this. I can accept the sworn testimony of the officer who testified that he, in his citation, that he presented those documents to you on the scene of the stop. So if you want to continue to raise those arguments when you come back to court on the 23rd, that's fine. You can do that at that time. But we're not going to entertain any further arguments on that matter today.
I object.
I understand. And that's noted in the court record. I have a judgment for him.
Your Honor, I hate to be a pain, but again, I know where this case is headed. I have to object on the record that the person who claims to be some part of a state or whatever does not appear to be a licensed attorney and is thus not authorized to make objections on the record on behalf of any other party. If Mr. Idris would like to proceed pro se, I would ask that the court read or go through the pro se colloquy with him, but otherwise I would ask that his objections not be noted, and I would renew my request for a warrant. Thank you.
I object
Thank
again.
you, Mr. Farrow.
I object again. What he said is not the facts. He's assuming.
Are you an attorney, Mohammed Idris? Are you an attorney? You licensed attorney in the state of Washington?
You haven't answered my question when I asked you, does the court have a power of attorney against this case? And all three of you guys refused to answer. And the prosecutor—
I don't know what that is. I don't know what it is that you're asking.
You don't know what power of attorney is? You have to have a
It's got nothing to do with the criminal case.
It's a civil, it's not criminal. Is it not?
No, these are criminal charges. At least one of them is.
Who's the executor of the estate?
Mr. Idris, you're missing the point. You're setting yourself up for more trouble. As Mr. Farrow points out, in order for you to represent yourself, you take a great risk in this case. And essentially, that's what you're saying you're doing.
Everything is a trust, is it not?
I don't know. I have only your testimony to that effect.
You're forcing me, without my consent, to administrate my estate without my consent. So I object to that gentleman. I want to get his name. Is he the prosecutor for this case? What's his name?
Yes, Tom Farrow. Can you see his name on the screen?
Tom Farrow. Is he the prosecutor for this case?
I'm going to assume so. He's here talking about it.
And I'm going to need the discovery from him. When I called, how come nobody picked up the phone?
Well, I have no idea who you called and what the situation was. All right. So I'm finding probable cause in the case ending in 7205, refusing to comply with the police officer. Ms. Mann, do you have request on conditions of release?
I object. That's a hearsay.
For both, the state requests personal recognizance with no criminal law violations, no driving without valid license and insurance, Your Honor.
I object. The fact is not being indicated onto the record. Are we even on the record?
We are on the record. All of this is on the record. It'll be there for you to review if you choose to do that.
Is everything being recorded?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, the final thing I'll note for the record is even if this individual does reach out to the prosecutor's office, I'm not authorized to talk to a representative who's not an attorney, nor am I allowed to speak about a case with an individual who may or may not be represented and who certainly hasn't indicated that he intends to proceed pro se today. So I'm just at a bit of a loss here.
I object.
Understand that.
I'm not the
Mohammed
decedent.
Idris, you're attempting to create a roadblock that there seems to be no way around. Mr. Farrow makes a good point.
Is he saying I'm the decedent? Is that what he's saying? Does he have a proof that I'm the decedent of the estate?
Mr. Mohammed Idris, are you representing yourself today in this case? Are you going to represent yourself on August 23rd when you come back to court?
It's impossible to represent myself, is it not?
No, it is possible. It's not necessarily a wise choice to represent yourself, but it's possible. Do you understand that you are, if you represent yourself, you are held to the same standards that an attorney is held to in terms of understanding the law and procedures of court if you choose to represent yourself?
I object again. Is the court using my bond? Where's the appearance bond and the bid bond? I do not understand. I do not comprehend, and I wish not to proceed.
Under those circumstances, Mohammed Idris, you should contact an attorney to give you some advice as to how to proceed in this matter.
I object. Where is my bond? I need my bond back. I need my bid bond. Or I'll write one and overnight it. Where is my bid bond? And who is the highest bidder of the case?
All right, on this case, State of Washington versus Mohammed Ismail Idris, case number 3A0257205 WSP, charges vehicle operator refusing to comply with a police officer. I'm entering a plea of not guilty to that charge. I am finding probable cause, first of all, on that charge. I am entering a plea of not guilty to that charge. It's obvious from Mohammed Idris's responses, he doesn't want to enter a plea of guilty to this charge today. We're not going to allow him to frustrate the procedure of the court by taking a irresponsible position like this. The conditions on your release, you are released on what's called your personal recognizance. That's your promise to return to court. Your court date is going to be August 23rd. We're going to send you notice to the 2 addresses that we have from the Department of Licensing, and also to the email address that you contacted this court about. While you are waiting for that August 23rd court date, you are not to commit any new criminal law offenses, and you're not to drive without license and insurance.
I object.
Your next court date is going to be?
I need more time. August 23rd is not enough.
There's plenty of time for court here. So we're going to do it on August the 23rd.
I object.
At 2 p.m.
How can a trustee tell an executor what to do? Because I'm occupying the office of the executor.
This is not a civil matter. It's a criminal matter that you have to come to court on the 23rd of August, 2023. I am not going to...
I am the executor and beneficiary of the trust, am I not? You're the trustee.
I have no idea.
The prosecutor is the trustee.
Not an issue for this court. Mr. Ferro, I'm not going to issue a bench warrant today. I don't know how to answer the question that you've raised, which I think is a good one, about your ability to provide response to Mr. Idris's request for discovery.
I'm not Mr.
I don't have the answer to that. So, Mr. Idris, you're able to get the order that I've just signed from the Thurston County District Court website under the cause number. Let me find it. 3A0257205. Your next court date will be the 23rd of August at 2 o'clock, and you are certainly welcome to be here in person on that day. Thank you, Mr. Idris. That's all for today. Mr. Farrow, thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Ms. Mann, thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Candace, thank you. Who else can I thank?
Not me, Your Honor, but if court could call number 16 on the 1:30 calendar, Mr. Moreno